Hi, this is Andrea. I'm an autism mom. Welcome to the Neurodiverse Voices podcast. If you're listening for the first time, I'm here to be the voice of my daughter, other parents, professionals, and neurodiverse individuals through our own lived experiences. I want to give visibility to these superstars that most of the time behind the scenes make a huge impact on neurodiverse lives. Today we are recording live from Oxford Creators, an alternative provision for children with special needs who are at risk or either excluded from school. So you will hear some background noise, but that's fine because I really want to make this podcast as authentic as possible. My guest today has a very beautiful name that in my language means glorious, and I'm very excited to interview her. She's Gloria from the Harbour, a self-directed learning centre. And welcome, Gloria.
Thank you so much, Andrea. Thank you for having me on this podcast, and it's wonderful to be here at Oxford Creators, and you do some wonderful work here.
Thank you. So, Gloria, what has brought you to this stage of your journey with neurodiversity?
Well, my background, after doing a degree in languages and a postgrad in international marketing, was working in international trade. I love travelling. I love different cultures, people in general. So that was wonderful. In business, I was then a managing director and an international trade advisor, but then I decided I wanted a different career and I wanted to work with young people. I trained as a teacher and worked in primary, and I did a primary PGC because I was interested in the whole child, although my heart has always been with older children. I think teenagers are amazing, they're fascinating, they have so much to offer, yes, so where I am now is that after working in education and not feeling quite satisfied, having a neurodiverse family, I wanted to do things differently, and I met Carmel, who was already in the process of setting up the Harbour, and I joined her, and we've been going now for 6 months. So it's a consent-based, self-directed learning centre in Oxford, and I couldn't be happier because we're doing things differently. We are seeing young people thrive, and it is a different way of doing things.
And that must be very rewarding, I would say, and it's very interesting to see how the shift in your career happens. I kind of relate to that because that's happening to me for the past 6 months, I would say. And yeah, sometimes we need to go through certain things to realize that that's not what we want, and pursue our mission in life. That's how I would say it.
Absolutely. And what's interesting about that is that as adults we're expected to be self-directed. We're expected, we work in the area that where our strengths lie, what we're good at, what we enjoy. And that's what we look for in our work. But for young people, it's not like that. For young people, there is a structure, and they are told what to learn, when to learn. Now, what we believe is that young people can have that agency and can decide for themselves.
Yep, and that's the best way for them to learn and to integrate, and for us to be inclusive, to give them that space and opportunity to learn in their own way.
Absolutely.
So Gloria, the Harbour, or the Oxford Harbour, as it's also known as, can you tell us a bit more about how it works, what you offer to neurodiverse children?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, to say that we are an inclusive setting. It doesn't matter, neurodiverse, whatever. It's not a specific special educational needs setting. What we do is we help young people to discover their own learning journey. So we're facilitators rather than teachers, although we are from an educational background, and this is founded on a proven pedagogy. So we bring together self-managed learning, which you can see, for example, in SML College in Brighton. In fact, Ian Cunningham, who set that up over 20 years ago, is one of our advisors. So we bring that together with consent-based principles where young people can choose what to participate in and what not to participate in. So we have 2 sessions a week of 3.5 hours, and it starts off with a community meeting. Now that is really important because we are a community. It's not just an ad hoc drop-in session. And during that we start with agreements that we all set together, adults and young people, and these agreements are reviewed every single session. Then we have check-ins where young people and adults can speak if they wish to, because part of the consent-based is that you speak if you want to speak, you don't have to speak. And then we do the plans for the day. Now, the plans for the day can be all sorts of different things, such as we have language lessons, which can be led by us or by the young people. We have an amazing young person who's been teaching us Swedish. It is absolutely, and so difficult to get your tongue round.
Do you know a word that you can share with us?
Not off the top of my head, but he's not Swedish, but his pronunciation is amazing.
Wow.
We have sessions, for example, where another young person taught us debating, and we're not just talking about discussion; we're talking about proper structured debates. We have another young person who loves badminton, has been teaching badminton. We can do trips in. We've done a trip to the Ashmolean, for example. We've been doing science experiments. So looking at the principles of light, from basic principles right up to fiber optics, and this was helping one of our young people with their science GCSE, for example. So all of these things, what we find is a day is too short. We have short-term projects, we have long-term projects. The young people suggest it, we suggest it, they dip in and out. Another thing that we do is we go out. The young people want to go for a walk. It's a great way to socialise. It's a great way to meet that need, and many of them like to start with that. Everything that we do is then complemented with what they do out of their time at the Harbour. So we carry this forward, but what we're doing all the time is we are practicing meeting our own needs while respecting those around us. So it's understanding ourselves, because the most important thing, we need to understand ourselves. Through that, we can understand the people around us.
Yes, and it's incredible to see how much of a wide variety of subjects that you offer, and to see the students thriving because it's part of their interests and what they are passionate about.
Absolutely, and we don't set a curriculum. It is the young people that decide their own curriculum, and they follow their own interests and passions, and we facilitate.
Thank you for telling us all of that about the Harbour. I really wish you all the best with it. I find it a great initiative, and I think it's definitely going to make a difference on the learning journey of young adults. So now, if we turn our conversation a bit more into your role as a mum, how do you feel about caring for someone who is neurodiverse?
Okay, so I think all parenting is difficult. It doesn't matter, regardless. It's so difficult to be objective. A child needs us in a different way to, as they grow, and that changes faster than we can change. And it takes a village to raise a child.
Yep.
It
That's
really,
a cliche saying,
it is a cliche, but it is right, because as a parent, with all the love and support and encouragement, you make mistakes, and you don't grow as quickly as they grow and their needs grow. That's what I found. So the most important thing is, I think you need to listen. You need to listen really carefully, and I'm learning that myself. As my sons would say, I haven't been a fantastic listener. I would admit to that. I think when your child doesn't fit the system around, it is very, very difficult for them. It's difficult for you in a completely different way. You learn along the way the importance of listening, and also of admitting mistakes. And it's things that, my eldest is about to go to university, and he would say that I'm still not listening, and, and I'm really sorry, and I continue to learn. So we are all different, and it's not necessary to put a label on something, because we are all different. We all have different needs, and as a parent, I think the most important thing is to listen, and also to understand that you're going to make mistakes.
And learn with them.
And learn
as
with
you
them.
go along your journey.
Absolutely.
So in what areas do you feel that neurodiverse individuals are failed the most? Thinking systems-wise, for example.
Well, of course, my recent background of the last 10 years in education, I would say that this is an area, and it's not just now, because when I think of adults that I know who didn't get on with school and have gone on to be incredibly successful, I think it's the inflexibility in education, and I think that is quite strong at the moment. The curriculum is very tight. It's very much content driven. Mm-hmm. It suits some people, it doesn't suit others. We're too prescriptive in education. I think that makes it incredibly difficult if you don't fit the norm.
Gloria, you are a mum, you have the Oxford Harbour. What I would like to know now is what else defines you as an individual? What are your interests? Who are you?
Right. Well, I was brought up bilingual. My parents are from Spain. Mm-hmm. And so that was very, very interesting growing up. I've always had a thirst for traveling, for meeting people, and for lifelong learning, for adventure. I think that's probably.
Yeah. And that's the best way to learn about the world, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes.
So, Gloria, who is the biggest support on your journey?
Family, my immediate family, my extended family, and friends. They have all been amazing. Lots and lots of positive energy. Meeting together with other families in similar situation to ours is wonderful. Being able to share experiences. So my advice to anybody is to reach out. That whatever your situation, you are not alone. There are
really
others experiencing the same thing.
Yeah, and I totally ditto that, because that's exactly my experience. It's very important to connect with other families in the same situation. How do you treat yourself when you have some time for yourself, which is probably not much?
Okay, well, exercise is important. I enjoy swimming, and I'm not a great swimmer, but I've taught myself to swim front crawl. So as an example that it's never too late to learn a new skill.
Very true.
And I love singing with Oxford Gospel Choir.
Oh, wow.
So a shout out to them. Very therapeutic. Doesn't have to be that choir, any choir. It's wonderful.
Well, I love singing too, but maybe I should join you.
Yes, absolutely.
Gloria, who is your biggest inspiration?
Right, well, without a shadow of a doubt, it's my own father. So he passed away a couple of years ago.
I'm sorry to hear.
Yeah, he came to the UK in the 60s and went down a path that wasn't expected, which was to work with people with learning disabilities. And he was a great campaigner for treating everybody with dignity and treating people without prejudice. He hated any form of prejudice. So he went on to set up homes for people with learning disabilities, which were, a wonderful environment. So for me, he's been my biggest inspiration. He was an avid reader, loved talking to anybody and everybody. But the main thing about him is that for him it was about the individual and accepting everybody for who they are.
Yeah.
Oh, and I have to mention somebody else, which is more accessible for those who didn't know my dad, Greta Thunberg. Yeah, she is a shining example for young people. And if you haven't watched the interview with Amal Rajan on BBC, I absolutely recommend it, because there is a young person who is doing things differently and making a significant difference.
Yeah, I haven't watched it, so I'll definitely make a note of it, and I will watch it later. And I think your father was a really great inspiration, and your admiration for him is great, and I think the world really needs more individuals like that.
Absolutely.
And Gloria, can you tell us what are your hopes for the future?
Well, in my particular area of education, I would really, really like to see more investment. I think, teachers are trying so hard. They are wonderful. I've worked with amazing teachers, amazing head teachers, but it is so difficult. The investment isn't there. So just something really, really practical. I would like to see more serious investment in education.
And Gloria, if you had a superpower, what would you like that to be?
Okay, that's a tricky one. But if I had a superpower, what I would do would be able to open people's hearts and minds, including mine, to not being afraid of difference, to value difference.
Yeah.
I think it's so easy to be stuck in your own silo, in your own rut. And I think, the way social media is at the moment, we're in echo chambers. And so much is about opposition, so much is about, even in politics, left, right, those sort of dynamics, that we can be stuck. So I would love to be able to wave a magic wand and just open people's mind so that they see difference as a positive thing and that they are not afraid of it.
Yeah. That's amazing. And how would you think the investments should be used?
Well, opening up other ways of learning, to allowing teachers to use their creativity, which they have already, but it's offering different options. Whether it is within schools, out of schools, options that value the individual and their strengths, because in education so much is about filling the gaps, finding where the deficits are. And I know, as a teacher, you're looking for bringing everybody up to, say, for example, a minimum standard. Those standards are set at a particular age. Everybody develops differently. So people don't develop the skills in the same way, but we are stuck on that formula. So it's to offer that diversity within education where people can follow their own paths, their own ways of learning. And I mean, we're in a world where technology, is amazing. The future for our young people is completely different to ours. But our education system is stuck in the past.
It's too rigid.
It is too rigid. It has hardly changed. And
it's certainly not an easy job to embrace the needs of everyone individually. However, we definitely need a more flexible and inclusive education system that meets the needs of everyone. And Gloria, we are almost done. My final and I would say favorite question that I ask my guests is, if your heart had a voice, what would it tell us?
It would be to embrace difference. As my husband would say, that I hear him say to his team often, is it's not about fitting in, it's about fitting together.
And Gloria, I know you have a list of interesting resources that you would like to share with us, because they might be helpful for our listeners. Would you like to tell us what they are?
Yes, absolutely. So I found certain authors, certain podcasts really interesting in my journey. So I'd like to just mention a few because they might be useful for people. Mm-hmm. We have our advisors at the Harbour, Sophie Christophe and Ian Cunningham, who have their own blogs and podcasts and have written books. Going further than that, the Sendcast with Dale Pickles is great. Naomi Fisher, Eliza Fricker, and Made by Dyslexia, which you can find on Facebook, which is very much about looking at dyslexia in a very positive light, which is really good.
Thank you for sharing. I've had a listen to Sendcast and I really enjoyed it, but I will make a note of those for myself. Thank you. Gloria, it has been an immense pleasure to have you here in the Neurodiverse Voices podcast. Thank you so much for sharing your experience and for the advice you provided us with. And I really hope to have you here sometime soon, maybe in a few months' time, so that we have an update on how your journey is going.
Lovely. Well, thank you very much. I have to say the pleasure has been entirely mine. It has been lovely to be here at Oxford Creators, and again, you do fantastic work here.
Yeah, great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And that was Gloria. Thank you so much for listening to the Neurodiverse Voices podcast. Our next episode will be made available in a couple of weeks, and I look forward to having you on that side, listening to it. In the meantime, if you'd like to share your story, just drop me an email at neurodiversevoices@outlook.com. And remember, I believe in the good things coming, and you should too.